what record on the cloud is. Okay, I'm recording.
Let me write that down.
Because if you say, and even if, I was in seventh grade and I was, whomever, the Tin Man, or I was in improv and I got to be somebody else and it felt good. But, I don't know what your reasons is and I don't know what your theater is. So I need at least get a snapshot before you say you love it. Don't tell me you love it unless you show me a little piece of it.
No, that's awesome. Thank you for that. Because I have two moments that I'm gonna just touch
Go ahead and
upon.
just take one of those moments and speak about it now. You can iron it later.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
You're good. So you have a really nice, calm, natural way of saying I was searching, and that works really, really well. And I can tell, or at least I can tell you've worked on this. Would I be right?
Yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot.
Yeah, man. I mean,
You got more control, Kev.
Thank you. So I have simultaneously at this time, I gave up one of my passions. And that's performing arts and theater and improv. See, I loved all the times when I played the mathematician, that mathematical wizard with a I have this written down, but I'm not gonna, I'm gonna formulate.
Take it. You're fine. Now is the time to make mistakes. Wednesday is not.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Simultaneously at this time, I gave up one of my passions, performing arts, theater, and improv. See, I cherish those times when I would be on stage playing the mathematician, mathematical wizard who had a large pencil rod staff, or the time when I won the improv skit by portraying 6 characters at once.
Love it. Do it backwards.
Yeah.
Say the mathematician, say the improv skit, then say you cherish it. Show us it first, and then say I miss it.
Okay.
Don't say you miss it at the beginning because we haven't even seen what you missed yet.
Okay. Nice. Okay. I cherish those moments.
Do you have a listening partner for this weekend or the beginning of the week?
I think Black. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
I wasn't there last week, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about that and just bouncing my
Sounds good.
my story off.
So pick it up from mathematician.
Okay. Okay. The mathematician and won the improv skit by portraying 6 characters at once. See, I cherish those moments so much. But school and people and being an impressionable youth caught up to me. Fast forward a couple years later, and a couple bumps along the road, and I'm giving this speech on stage. And see, this is where I'm cutting the script real quick. This is where I'm still debating on the structure of the talk, because at this point I'm debating on either going into and there might be more in there, but going into the community center You know what? I want to add even more about the time from like 15 to 21 because I feel like I just can't leave out a huge chunk. But where the story lifts off is I'm thinking
So just
either.
real quick, 15 to 21, you don't have to tell everything, and you can just say, well, I mean, this is where it goes downhill, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Watch this. This, I mean, I'm just gonna make shit up,
yeah, yeah.
uh, but it's your life. So I could say, uh, I'm just making stuff up.
Right, right. I got
17, dad left. 18, the cash register was open. 20, I know what braces are. Do you see how that changes that time?
you. Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
And that's not your life. But so if you feel like you just need to snap something,
Okay.
but you don't have to expand it because you want to get to a bigger place with a
Yeah.
bigger announcement, then you can do that. And I think with this story, that might work, unless there's things that happen between 1721 that can build into where you're moving forward.
Okay.
And I have to take
No.
that advice too, because I'm writing something right now and I need to take the advice I just gave you.
Oh, nice, nice. Very smooth. What's that for? What do you?
I have a published chapter in a book and I've got to rewrite something, and it's on the importance of counter narratives, listening to the story that's behind the story, not the story that's in front.
That's a
So a
beautiful
dominant
concept.
narrative might be, um, well, you've heard it. People in jail deserve what they have. They're the same thing. Blah blah blah. That might be a dominant narrative. A counter narrative is, damn it, there's other stories here.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the damn it, there's other stories here.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to check that out when it's published.
Sure.
Yeah. Um. Okay. So yeah, I have 15 DYS, 16 DYS, 17 GED. And now what I'm debating here is at 2021, either jumping into the,
Don't worry, just jump.
yeah,
I'll pay
okay,
attention to it. Go ahead.
okay. I'll go with this route.
Yeah, don't worry about words. Let's go to action and episodes and emotional delivery,
Okay.
because you can work all
15.
that later.
Yeah.
Between you and I, we're working on impact.
Okay. 15 years old, DYS. 16 years old, DYS. 17, GED, but still probation. Fast forward a couple years, and I'm 20 years old, and I finally find this community center. This community center to me was a place where people thrive together. It was a place where I'd wake up every morning and happily walk into, where people were so enlightened and you could have positive conversations and you could get constructive feedback on who you are as a person. And I started to absorb everything. I learned Spanish at this community center. I learned about philosophy and great philosophers. I even learned how to use better how to use Microsoft Excel and word processing and PowerPoint and all of these tools that I was missed out on through my middle school years. This community center started to give me a sense of purpose. But it wasn't until that TED talk that really pushed me. And I'll tell you why. So one day I'm hanging at the community center and a couple leaders in the community center were talking about the upcoming TEDx event that was happening in November. This might have been July, maybe. And they said, yeah, this is a TEDx youth event. You're 21 years old. You'd be a great candidate. You want to do something? And I'm like, I'm teetering back and forth. I just got my feet wet in this community center. I'm starting to develop, but I don't know if I'm ready to do that. After maybe about a week or so of some positive pressure, um, I was more so voluntold into a slot during this TED Talk. And I'm so grateful for that because people saw that, I had something to share. So I went back to my house. I wrote down what I wanted to say and I brought it back. And they're like, great, cool. This is it. Start speaking. And I'm like, what? Huh? How do I do this? This is something that I haven't done since I was 14 years old. But sure enough, the following days and the following weeks, I started to practice this speech. And the pressure was on in the most positive way possible. I remember a particular person, a guy named Wayne, who was a mentor and um, a leader in this community center. Uh, he, as I was giving the speech, he crumpled up some paper balls and started to throw them at me. And at first, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? But I caught the drift. Just keep going. Just keep going. And that paid forward so much because I learned the valuable lesson that it's not about memorizing a speech or memorizing a talk. It's about knowing what you're saying. And that stuck with me forever. Now, the final day comes, and I'm nervous because there's about 300 people that I'm going to be speaking to. And I'm also nervous because this audience is not just a normal audience. Half of the people in this audience are made up of my co-residents at the Marion Correctional, where I was imprisoned at. And the other half was made up of university professors, of college students, of people from all over the country, from many different walks of life, that all came to this prison to hear a TEDx event. Just that thought alone brought me out of the current confinements that I was in. I was about 2.5 years, which is halfway through my sentence, at the time that I gave this talk. And I didn't know how fundamentally changing it was going to be for me. Uh, you know, damn.
Take me in the talk. What you said.
Yeah. Okay.
But I want to throw a monkey wrench, a fun one that you can play with, because it's about you being nervous, right? It's about you getting up there. This person throwing paper and saying move. I mean, have him throw a couple times before you respond.
Yeah.
Listen,
Okay.
boy, whatever. Because that's a
Right.
thing. So here's what
Yeah.
this is the monkey wrench, and it might give you a safety, but it also might be fun. Say you met someone in the community center, and all this person around he was nervous, and he was this, and he told me about this guy that threw paper at him, and then at the end you have, and I know this person quite well. He was me. I served 2.5, blah 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 blah. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I like that. I like that because it's like I'm transforming into I'm growing and developing and almost like tapping back into my old self because that's what a lot of this is about, but also blossoming into somebody new.
But then you can say things like this. I sat and I listened to this boy I watched this boy become a man. I watched him say that, he blah, 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 is 17. And he talked about, being a racist for the I'm making shit up. All right. So I don't know. All right. And in fact, I don't know what DYS is. What is DYS?
Yeah, so that is Department of Youth Services, the Ohio Department of Youth Services.
So you might say that
That's
once, Department of Youth Service, then say DYS. Just
okay.
for crazy people like me that don't know.
No, and you're right, because a lot of people won't know,
But
actually.
imagine if you do this twist, and you don't have to do anything that I say. They're just suggestions, but you could twist it and you can say, as I looked at that person in the stage, he looked familiar.
Yeah.
And I heard him, and then say 4 different things that he said. He said, I broke free, or I became blah, 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 or whatever you want to say. And then when the 300 people left her and people shook her hand, I realized it was my hand they were shaking, whatever. I just think that'd be fun, because when you first started talking, my head's crazy. That's what I said.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a
But
different.
don't feel like you have to, but I think it would have more power, because you're talking, like you said, from young to old. And then they also, you have a safe distance to talk about you and then come back to you. Make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Play with it.
Yeah, I'm going to tonight. That's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna mess around with that tonight and like.
So now I want you to go into the speech. That was my big thing last time.
Yeah.
Tell me what you said there. Do you still have a copy of that?
Man, that's
it. The TED Talk. Was Piper Kerman there that year?
She was,
because I was there.
Really? She didn't. She didn't speak.
No, she was in the back of the room.
Yeah.
I think I was at your TED Talk.
And you might have been. It was the TEDx Youth.
One guy came in. He said, "I'm never going to say this poem again." And he was on the slate. He said, "Everybody asked for it, but I'm resigning it." And it was about him killing a young person.
Yeah, that was probably JT.
Was it on the same slate? It's ironic that I was there in your TED Talk.
Yeah, that's pretty.
I was one of those people clapping, Kev. I'm still clapping, man.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's wild. And I've met a couple people, even since I've been home through, Healing Broken Circles. I was like, oh, I was at that TEDx event. Oh, I was at this TEDx event. I remember you, because there was several.
But at the same time, and I remember it was powerful. If it's the one I remember, I think they're on YouTube, aren't they?
Well, so mine, the TEDx I gave was the first one to not be.
Oh, okay.
Recorded.
That sucks.
Yeah.
But you have it. Tell me 4 things that you said.
Well, and so I'm trying to recollect that, and I can, but that's where, like, in the very beginning, I start with the whole, the day you turn 18 and all that. That's from the TED Talk.
Okay.
And that's when I say, when I was 21, I gave that speech.
And that makes it even funner, because you're sitting there and you're saying this person on stage said, by the time I turn 18, you start that with that.
Yeah.
And then it turns out to be you.
Yeah. Okay. That'll be, yeah. I like that concept.
But then you could also say DYS and what you did there. And you could talk about, I love the Microsoft Excel and that you learned all this. And you do say very early prison to the pipeline. So we know that prison is coming up. It's up to you if you want to say that or not.
Early. Yeah, I was, and when I had said that too, because I don't have that actually like written down in the note. And when I had said that, I thought that might be giving too much information away. Okay. So go back into speech, and I can tonight. I've been trying to remember, because I had 3 segments to my speech.
Was there someone in the audience that you really knew well?
Well, my mother and my dad, my mom and dad were there.
And say, what do you remember me saying? You'll be surprised when it comes back.
Yeah, and my two of my very good friends, one of my best friends still to this day.
Call them up and say, between the next couple of days, and say, what do you remember?
Yeah.
You'll be amazed on what they say. Some might say,
Yeah,
I don't know, it was a long time ago. Or they might say, you know, I remember you were at the water fountain or whatever the hell it was, you know.
yeah, you're right though. I mean, because I remember my dude Blake gave a speech too, and I remember some lines that he had said. So I
Right.
will.
You you
Uh
you don't have to remember everything. People could give it to you.
yeah. Um yeah, and then I'm gonna go into this part about, how just um so yeah, I'll go into give me some lines from the speech. And then just say how important that day was. Not only did it take me out of the prison environment, it also reminded me of the world out there. And it let me know that this doesn't have to be my life, that I can actually be something beyond um, the past 7+ years that I've been caught up in the justice system. I also remember falling in love for a day. I met this cute girl. She was 20 years old. She was a student at Ohio University and she was from Cleveland Heights. I don't remember her name at all, but I know she took a liking to me. And when she gave me a hug, I was reluctant. Now, mind you, I've never been nervous around women, but at this time, it's been 2.5 years since I've felt a woman's touch.
Wow.
And I was also warned voraciously. I think, does that word make sense in there?
Voraciously. There you go.
Voraciously, thank you. By the staff that there's absolutely no hugging allowed and there will be penalties if so. So that was so ingrained in my mind when she hugged me. I almost forgot it was how to be a human and give her a hug back. That moment actually, that moment inspired me in so many ways. Not only did it inspire me to work out more and think about think about coming home to some ladies, it also inspired me to get back into my love of creativity and my love of performance and of using words to move people. That moment let me that moment inspired me to start to understand the collective condition that I and all of us in prison were in. And that moment also gave me hope that I could belong to a community that I realized I was searching for my whole life and never found. I never found who my people were. And at the community center and the fruits of this TED talk let me know that there are people out there for me and waiting for me.
And Kevin, you know, I might do this because it just makes sense. You could pull the title together for this whole program. I claimed my space.
Mm.
I carried those stories and I took them from you to you or whatever the hell it is. You don't have to, again, you don't have to do that, but I think it's a perfect place to tie our program.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm always a fan of that. I'm always a fan of tying things in together. Um, yeah.
Because your story is about claiming space, finding
Yeah,
that.
it really is.
Yeah. And the stories that you carry forward and the stories that you're going to continue to carry and the hug that you keep getting.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually wasn't going to mention that until I was talking with my dude Jesse, who was
I
my
think it's great.
co-defendant.
It makes it
Yeah,
honest and human and authentic.
he reminded me about that, and I was like, he was like, dude, throw that in the talk, and I'm like, yeah, man,
Again, Kevin, talk to the people who heard the speech.
yeah,
They're getting it all back.
yeah, yeah,
I think you've got command on it. I think you got to fill it in
yeah,
with significant points, but you've got a lot more authentic command to it.
yeah. Thank you.
I like seeing it shape. I mean, what are your biggest concerns?
Um, is, yeah, filling in the details and the smooth transitions. Once I get to the meat of it, like I'm good, and I can deliver. But it's not being redundant in anything, and filling in the transitional parts.
So here's the secret. Forget that paper that you're looking at. Stand up and take it home. Stand
Yeah,
and deliver.
yeah,
Stand and say, this is my command. Walk the room that you're in now and tell the story as though the audience is there, and play with different ways. Do it like 7 different times, and you won't
yeah,
have to worry what's on that script. You got it. Your heart is carrying this story. Your mind's got it. It's a trigger, but the heart triggers all the events that meant something. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Man, no, that's absolutely true. Yeah,
So don't work from that
yeah,
script anymore.
yeah. Because it's I find that my heart is feeding my brain with all of this information again.
Right. And talking to people who were there.
Yeah,
I mean, talking to your mother is going to
yeah,
give it a whole different element. Talking to your father, talking to your 2 friends, you're going to
mhm,
have more to that story than you know what to do with. And you can also say, my mother said this, or da, 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 or whatever the case may be.
yeah. Okay, okay, okay. Awesome. Yeah, man. Thank you for this. This was needed.
No
Um,
problem. No problem.
Productive. Yeah,
And
yeah. So
I know you have class, but so if you're feeling like you need another run through before, I've got more time on Tuesday, I think. I mean, just holler at me after our, I think there's a rehearsal on Saturday. Am I wrong?
yes, no, you're right. Yeah, yeah,
I,
absolutely. And I
I,
I think like tech rehearsal.
I don't know what time.
Neither do I, but
So if
uh,
it's a time I can make it, I'll be there. And
yeah,
let's say you do the tech rehearsal and you still want to run it out, then we can run it out once or twice.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I probably will. I'm like, and I'm gonna run it out with my roommates here and everybody. On Sunday, Monday, I'm gonna annoy them.
Well, you're not floating anymore. You've concentrated
Yeah,
on making the impact and delivery. So stand and deliver it and play and bounce the language. And forget that you're draining yourself to that piece of paper. Quit that.
yeah, yeah,
All right. Break away, break away. You can put it down and you can go, oh, did I get that word right? But soon you're just going to set it down and say, forget it. I'm telling it because it's my story.
yeah, yeah.
You got
No,
it?
that's powerful. Yeah, absolutely. And that's where I know, and that's what I did learn that lesson about knowing the talk opposed to memorizing it. And that's where I want to know my talk right now. And I don't think I'm there yet, but I will be.
But you're
Um,
closer. You're
yeah.
closer. There's
Oh yeah,
impact moments and it's a live art. So bounce it with live people.
people. Yes. Amen.
Kev, I'm
Absolutely.
not going to make you late for class.
Yeah. Thank you. Could you share it? Could you send this to me? The
Yeah,
report?
I'm going to try to figure it out. Sometimes
Yeah.
it doesn't like me very well, but I'm going to work on it right after.
Okay, Smooth. Thank you so
I'll get
much.
to you. Peace out.
All right, man. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Cheers.
Bye bye.